On this street in Boston in the winter of 1919, 21 people were killed by a wave. The wave was not water, it was molasses, and the story of how it happened is one of the strangest disasters in American history. This is the north end of Boston, a crowded working-class neighborhood on the waterfront, and right here on Commercial Street stood an enormous steel tank, 50 feet tall, 90 feet across. It belonged to a company that turned molasses into industrial alcohol for making munitions. Inside it on this day were 2.5 million gallons of molasses, 13,000 tons of it. But here's what nobody in the neighborhood knew. That tank had been leaking from the day it was built. It groaned, it dripped. Children used to scrape molasses off the seams for a treat. The company's answer was to paint the tank brown so the leaks wouldn't show. On January 15th, just after 12:30, the tank gave way. Witnesses said they heard a sound like a machine gun, the rivets popping out of the steel one after another, and then the whole side of the tank tore open. What came out was a wall of molasses 25 feet high, moving at 35 miles an hour. Now stop and think about that. We say slow as molasses. But this was faster than a car of the era. How can syrup move that fast? Because 2.5 million gallons under that much pressure doesn't pour, it explodes. The wave hit with the force of a tidal wave. It snapped the steel supports of the elevated railway like matchsticks. It lifted a train off its tracks. It crushed buildings clean off their foundations. People, horses, and wagons were simply swept away. The Boston Globe reported that people were picked up by a rush of air and thrown many feet. And then came the cruelest part. As the molasses cooled in the January air, it thickened. People who survived the wave were now trapped in it, chest deep, unable to move. Rescuers who waded in to save them got stuck too. It took 4 days to find all the bodies. 21 people were dead, 150 were injured. But the story doesn't end with the flood. It ends in a courtroom. 119 residents sued the company, and the company had a defense ready. They claimed the tank hadn't failed. They claimed anarchists had blown it up with a bomb because the alcohol was used for weapons. It was a convenient story. It was also a lie. After 3 years of hearings, a court-appointed auditor found the truth. The tank had never been safety tested. It had been filled to the brim without a single inspection. The company was found responsible and paid out $628,000. In today's money, nearly $12 million. It became one of the first major class action cases in America, and it changed engineering law. This is why buildings today must be signed off by a certified engineer. The tank was never rebuilt. The site became a city yard and later a park. But for decades on hot summer days, people in the North End swore the ground still smelled sweet. And if you walk down Commercial Street today, there is a small plaque right where the wave came through. It's the only sign left of the day a wall of molasses killed 21 people in the middle of Boston.